Okay, so I'm gonna just go over some tuning stuff real quick. So basically, turn my phone's going. So upon investigation, basically the car was running just a OTS Cobb 93 normal wastegate map. So when I that's what it had on it. I basically when I hooked my access port up, I reviewed the map, compared it to different maps, and when I went to the regular wastegate, they have a low and a high wastegate and a regular wastegate. The 93 Cobb Stage 1 with their SF intake off the shelf map, there was no difference. So the comparison was exactly the same. So that's what it had on it. And I was figuring, well, it was an off the shelf map. It probably was knocking, whatnot. However, from a few things I did, I noticed, and all I did to change the map initially before I got here was this is comparing the map to my current one. So let me see. Let me try to zoom in here. I know I need to get a screen grab function. The flex fuel, the fuel economy display, and the fuel pressure differential, that's all stuff that I changed because of the injectors and the flex fuel sensor and all that stuff. Same with flex fuel tables. The ignition tables I've changed. However, the point about the ignition tables, if you go to the primary one, looking at what was on it, I actually I subtracted 2 degrees, and before I rolled out to come up here, because I knew that 91 stops being available pretty much at the end of Arkansas. I had a 91 map ready, but I was watching with the access port the entire drive out here, and it never really knocked, no matter what gas I put in it. So the Cobb map was fine. It wasn't really knocking. Wasn't knocking back home the little bit I was able to log and whatnot before I left. So I'm thinking the piston blew, probably just because it was hot out and a lot of sitting and idling in traffic and whatnot. I think it just got too hot on cylinder 4 and caused an issue. Or it could have been some blow by, they got in there. Who knows? That's not an issue anymore because I have the air oil separator and the cylinder 4 cooling rod. But point being, the spark was fine as it was for 93 and even honestly 91. I did go ahead when I got here and I added 2 degrees back into the 93 tune. I have had to reduce it in a few areas, as I was getting about a degree and a half a knock, mostly in transitional areas, from the 1 to 1.4 to 1.6 range. I also, let me go ahead and pull up my active value. Did have to reduce some right in here in the peak boost area, because that's the way it is. Whatever, I'm running 91 octane right now, but that's enough with ignition. One of the other things I noticed was that my boost target, so this is the boost target I've got. It's set right at 20 pounds right now. Peak, tapering down. The car had no problem initially getting to that, really relatively easy. Pretty much within one map change while I was driving it back home, I had it pretty close to target. However, when I got here, my wastegate duty, I was not seeing peak boost. I was only seeing a peak of about 17, tapering down to 13. Now, from the elevation change, that could have been, that's most likely what the main cause is. It's only 200 to 300 feet above sea level back home, and we're about 5,200 feet above sea level here, so that makes sense. I think the turbo is just, giving it all it's got right now. But I was able to manipulate some things and get my boost back up to a peak of 20, which really helped my torque. Speaking of that, I've got some logs here. I didn't have time to grab any logs back home of poles. Excuse me. It's really dry here. My allergies are killing me. But here's an example of 2 poles. So my peak horsepower really hasn't changed much since I've been here. However, the torque is drastically different. Well, if you call 30 horsepower or 24 horsepower or torque, 24 pounds of torque or pound-feet torque difference. But that's entirely from being able to get to the boost. It doesn't show it in this log, but I typically was only getting about 17 psi peak, tapering down to 13. The boost curves after about 4,500 have consistently been exactly the same on just about every log, so it tells me the turbo's giving it all it's got. However, I was able to get my peak boost up to about 20, right before 4,000, and it tapers back down, which gave me all this area of torque under the curve here. If you go from 4,500, I've got 343 foot-pounds down to 315 here. So, that's 30 foot-pounds of torque there. 4,000. Let me get, come on. Oh, it's not going to cooperate. I've got 324 to, come on. Oh, it's not going to cooperate. And you can tell there's about a 20 something to 30 something foot-pound torque difference at 4,000. So, there's a substantial under the curve from the boost. I suspect once I put the downpipe on, I'm going to get some earlier spools, so I'll get my boost up sooner, which will drastically help my area right here. And I think it'll probably help carry boost a little bit higher up, so I might get some peak horsepower out of it. I don't think a drastic difference. I honestly don't know that I'll get much of a peak torque gain at all. I think it's just going to broaden it some, which is really what these cars need, because from the factory they just have no power band. They peak boost shortly, then taper off, and they don't make a lot of power with the stock turbo. And then, of course, once I go 85, I'll be able to crank up the boost back home more. I really don't think I can get any more out of the turbo up here. I can add some spark in with the 85 and get some torque that way, but I'll probably wait till I get home to do that, because my wastegate duty cycles are significantly higher. Let's go to wastegate duty. Let me go to my low, and if you look, I'm close to maxed out on wastegate duty cycle, and this is on the low table. And if I go to my comparison value, which is basically what I had back home, I'm looking at 30% difference in wastegate duty cycle for the most part. So I've got way more wastegate available to me back home, so I should be able to make way more power back home. Plus, I'll probably be able to, even on 93 back home, be able to make more, because I should be able to tweak the spark some. But anyway, just some stuff I've been playing with on this. This has just been, in my spare time. I've not even really been real-time tuning. I've just been, out driving. If I get a chance to do a poll, I hit, I log it and do a poll and see where I'm at. But I've also been recording my, let me pull up the app here. This is the app I use. It's an aviation app. But basically it gives you the meteorological data for the area you're in. For example, once it pulls up, let's see the temperature, dew point, elevation, the QNH barometric pressure is okay. However, the QFE is really what kind of tells you your what you would use for the SAE part, on the dyno. So I've been playing with that. Been using this pretty good. If the road's good and smooth, you get good data. If there's hills and whatnot in the road or dips in the road, you don't get very good data. As you can see, there's a couple cases. For example, on this one, it looks like it made more power here on this older graph, but I guarantee you that was just that the road started going downhill right there up top. Just a case in point, Anyway, just a real quick video. Not really that real quick, but I just wanted to kind of show off that, how you could do this yourself if you understand engines. If you have your own time, you could put a lot of time into it. You don't have to rush it, and it's a good way to know your car. I said before, I tuned most of my own cars for the last several years. All 3 generations of Coyote, the Cobra. I'm going to be tuning the Lightning soon, which is for the most part the same as the Cobra, just a little bit different. These are really not that hard. The variable cams, Coyotes have them too. It's the same thing. This is actually a lot simpler to tune the variable cams on than the Coyotes, because there's only one, more or less there's only one or a couple spark tables and fuel tables you have to mess with. Whereas the Coyotes, they have 50 something map points you have to mess around with. Anyway, just a real quick update, because I'm bored and I've just been playing around. So I will say that car's doing fine. I hadn't really noticed anything. Like I said, I think the oil leak is really just left over from not cleaning it, not having a chance to clean it all the way. And so far so good with that. But until next time, I'm probably gonna go ahead and do a video when I get to installing this downpipe, and then I'll probably do a comparison video again with this, where I settle with tuning and on 91, and then we'll go from there. So until next time, talk to y'all later.